How's it going, guys? It's Al. It is Monday morning right after week 7. What a bloodbath week 7 was. We're going to take a look back and see where I was right, where I was wrong. This is the weekend recap edition for this YouTube channel. If you guys could do me a favor, I would appreciate it. I put out a ton of content here on YouTube. If you're new to finding this video, not a lot of people find this video. Everybody's looking forward. They all want actionable information for what's happening next. They want the answers to the test, right? But for those of you who are frequent viewers of this recap video, please drop a like on this one. If you're new to the channel, please click subscribe. I put out a ton of information for NBA, NFL every single week right here on this YouTube channel, and ring that notifications bell so you can be notified as soon as it's new. On this video, we're going to look back at my best buys column, see what I got right, what I got wrong, where I was right. Were we correct in our process? Were we lucky? Where we were wrong, where guys didn't perform? Were we unlucky, or was the process just bad? There's a lot to go over this week on that aspect, so we're going to get to that. I also go over my 5 picks against the spread. One of them is still pending because the Monday Night Football, I picked the Monday Night Football game this week, and that one's still pending, so we'll take a look at how I did in the other 4 games, and then we're going to look at my cash game lineup, which was an absolute shambles this weekend. Luckily, I did all right in tournaments, which kind of mitigated the loss, but still not a good week for me. But let's look at why and see if we can try to get better moving forward. Here you see my Best Buys article. A couple ways you can find this. Either click this button right here on ESPN, type my last name, Zeidenfeld, right in here. You'll come up with all the articles. Or just go to the Google machine and type Best Buys week, whatever week, right? So it comes out every Thursday, and it's always the first one on SEO. They're putting videos on the top of my articles now, and the videos have nothing to do with anybody who's in the thing. Matthew, talk about one of the guys that I wrote about. Please. We didn't talk about Baker Mayfield, but I got to make Baker Mayfield video right on top of my article. Started with Jameis Winston, who I thought was going to be the highest projector, or was the highest raw projected quarterback for me on the week. Ended the day with 26.1 fantasy points, 365 yards, no touchdowns, turned the ball over 4 times, 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions, had 55 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown, ended with 26.1 points. So, hey, he got there in an unconventional way, but he got there. He's going to throw the ball a ton pretty much all season, and we can pretty much predict where that ball is going to go based on his tendencies. So Winston paid off. Joe Flacco did exceed his salary expectation. 23 of 29, very efficient day for him. Not a lot of touchdowns, 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 19.56 fantasy points. CJ Beathard, we reached down, hoping that he would be able to play up to the competition. He was not able to do that. 3 turnovers, 1 touchdown, 170 yards, and 9.1 fantasy points. Did not get the 15 points plus that we needed. Did not get the 17 points plus that we expected out of him. So a miss there, obviously. Jared Goff, again, the other part of that game, they scored 30 points. All of the touchdowns basically came not from him. He had 2 touchdowns, 18 of 24, 202 yards, not enough passing yards, 16.48. Didn't get the 18 points or 19 points that we were hoping as a floor for him, with 25 to 27 points as a ceiling. Did not pay off. And Kirk Cousins had 17.5 points, 25 passes completed, 40 attempts, 241 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Now, at running back, Todd Gurley, slam dunk, did it again. Do you need the stats? He had 30.6 DraftKings points, 15 carries for 63 yards, 4 catches on 5 targets for 23 yards. So not his usual game, right? Only 19 touches and did not break 100 yards from scrimmage. But he had 3 touchdowns, so he bested 30 fantasy points. Not really the way that we wanted him to get there, but he got there. So we got a little bit lucky that he got there, but again, touchdowns are going to be a part of his game with 14 through the first 7 weeks of the season. He's on pace for like an NFL record at this point. Not Adam Thielen, but Ezekiel Elliott. This was a process miss for me, and I'm going to tell you why. I probably was reaching here in terms of the matchup. I do a few things. One, I don't like playing running backs that are on the road and underdogs. We did that here. I don't like playing running backs on the road that are underdogs in divisional matchups. We did that here. I was banking on the fact that Washington's defense versus position was a mirage, right? because they had not really faced any really good running backs who had been fed the ball consistently on the ground, which made their DVP look really good when I thought it was a mirage. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe Washington remains a very good defense against running backs, and we should just avoid running backs against them. I slammed into the brick wall. The brick wall won here as Elliott only had 15 carries and 2 catches on 6 targets, only 33 yards, completely inefficient on the ground. Didn't do much with the 2 catches, only 6.2 fantasy points. LaShawn McCoy got injured. I'll take the L on Ezekiel Elliott. That was completely my fault. Adam Thielen did Adam Thielen things. He got 10 targets again. He got 100 yards again. He scored a touchdown again. He had 29 points again. He is basically as sure a thing through the first 7 weeks as Todd Gurley. And anybody who's been mashing both of them into lineups has done very well. Woods playing the slot for Cooper Kupp, got 5 catches on 7 targets for 78 yards. No touchdowns, 13.4 points. Not a smash, but didn't kill you at all. Willie Snead, this is a process. I'm fine with the process here, going with the cheap wide receiver against New Orleans, who's going to play the majority of his snaps in the slot. We got that. Played the majority of his snaps in the slot. Got 7 targets for the 4th straight game. Only caught 3 balls for 23 yards. I think we got unlucky here a little bit with Snead. The first half was just a mess. They didn't really throw the ball. It was like 3-0. It was 0-0 through the first quarter, 3-0 halfway through the second quarter. John Brown busted a long one, but got tackled on the 1-yard line. Just a frustrating day in a lot of different aspects. But for Snead here, I think that this one, the process was okay. I know it was a little bit thin, but this was me reaching for the top of tournaments here with Snead. So I'm okay doing that. Michael Thomas, I thought this was a bounce back spot for him. Caught 7 balls, 9 targets, 69 yards and a touchdown, 19.9 DraftKings points. Jermaine Kearse is going to be the guy that's going to be the biggest point of contention. He posted a 0. My mentions were full of people reminding me yesterday that Jermaine Kearse had 0 points. Guys, I know. I'm watching the games. I'm sweating my lineups too. I'm aware when a player's not doing well. I know. It's okay. I'm there. I'm watching. You don't have to let me know. I know. He had 0 points. The question is, looking at this blurb, what were we looking for, right, out of this game? So I used to be a poker player, and one of the things that that you do when you're trying to get better at poker is you talk about hands. And when you talk about a hand of poker, you give all the viable information up to the decision point, but you never talk about the result. Okay? Because when you talk about the result, it's going to cloud your judgment, right? You're going to make a decision. Well, obviously the flush got there, so you should have just called, right? You want to know mathematically, are you making the right decision so that when this situation comes up again, and those situations in poker and in daily fantasy will always come up again, you have to be able to make the right decision. So the one thing that I was worried about yesterday, I wanted to look at the snap counts. I wanted to see, was he on the field? Because Kearse got 0 points on 2 targets. No catches, no yards, no nothing, no Roger, no rerun, no rent, right? 0 points. Sucks. Dude was 50% owning cash games. So was this a process mistake where we got unlucky? Or it's just, one of those situations where, I don't know what happened. Or was it a situation where, the process is bad, we made a bad play? I feel like I made a bad play with Ezekiel Elliott, right? And I have to not do that, right? I usually choose the path of least resistance. And I did not do that with that pick. With this Jermaine Kearse pick, we have to wait for PFF to come out with their charting, or we have to chart it ourselves. They came out with it. My podcast co-host, Adam Levitan, always tweets out the viable information on Monday mornings. He's on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast, so by the time I get back from dropping the kids off at school, he's already got it posted on Twitter. If you don't already follow him, and you probably already do, you should go rectify that and go follow Adam on Twitter. Jermaine Kearse played 64 of 71 snaps yesterday. He was in the slot for 40 of those snaps, and Sam Darnold threw the ball 42 times. Ignoring this, if I gave you the rest of the information in this tweet before lock on Sunday morning, Jermaine Kearse is 4,100. He's going to play 64 snaps out of 71 today. He's going to be in the slot for 40 of those snaps, and Sam Darnold's going to throw it 42 times. At the decision point, if you had that information, Would you have played Jermaine Kearse? If you say no, you're a damn liar. That's it for me. Right? I probably would have played way more Kearse in tournaments, and I had him in my cash game lineup, as did a lot of the players who actually ended up doing well on this slate this week. So that's my opinion on Kearse. I think the process is fine. If I'm faced with a situation similar to this, with not the exact same situation in the future, where a team is weak against a certain position, a player looks like he's going to get a ton of volume, both snaps and target volume, I'm going to play that player again. And I'm going to hope that it turns out better than it did for us this week. So I apologize if you were on Kearse and he posted a 0. I was on him too. Sometimes you just got to take the L, even if it's not your fault. Ezekiel Elliott, totally my fault. Jermaine Kearse, that's unlucky, guys. The tight ends kind of smashed pretty much every single one of them that we had in here. George Kittle, even though Beathard had 9.1 fantasy points, George Kittle ends the day with 20.8 of them. Caught 5 balls on 8 targets, 98 yards, just missed the bonus and a touchdown. He remains a stud every single week in, week out. Njoku did not get the 7 targets that he normally gets, but he did catch a touchdown, 4 catches and 52 yards, getting you 15.2 DraftKings points for 4.2K in salary. Zach Ertz remains a monster. Just a wide receiver 1, guys. Just a WR1 in a tight end position. 11 targets, caught 9 of them, 138 yards and no touchdowns for 25.8 DraftKings points every single week. He is just a smash play, and you got to try and find ways. If you're not going to play him in cash, which I get, right? You can find options at tight end that are lower price, like Njoku has been, like O.J. Howard, like other guys that are going to do just fine, and you're going to spend up on another position. That's fine, but you better find ways to get Ertz into your tournament lineups. And O.J. Howard, 5 catches on 9 targets, exactly as we predicted his volume would be there. He did not get into the end zone, had 67 yards, 11.7 DraftKings points, which for 3,600 is fine. Defenses, the Colts, guys, the Bills are who we thought they were. You know, they're bad, and we're going to continue to stream defenses against them. 19 fantasy points for the Colts defense, 2 for the Eagles, so a miss there for 2,600. And the Browns continue to do very aggressive things defensively and scored 14 DraftKings points, even though they gave up mid-20s points on the day. As far as my picks on Zeidenfeld.com, if you guys have been following this column, I appreciate that. I'm new to the sports betting scene. I don't really bet sports, but I'm trying my hand at a season-long look at how I'm going to do over the course of the season. Coming into this week, I was 17-12-1 on the year. Chargers got unlucky here, I think, because I make these picks on Thursday and did not have the information on Melvin Gordon. I probably would have gone with a different team here. I would just X them off the list. Too big of a spread for me in a neutral site game. So I lost this one, won the Browns game. Bills didn't come close to covering here. Rams definitely, 49ers didn't come close to covering there. So 2-2, and I've got the Falcons tonight against the Giants to hopefully go 3-2 and push myself. I'm either going to be 20-14 or I'm going to be, 19-15. Modest ahead of the 52.4% that I have to be, but at least I'm ahead and not behind. Looking at my DraftKings lineup on the year, I always look at the 4-man from the Daily Fantasy Edge podcast. And if you don't know where that is, type the Daily Fantasy Edge podcast into the Google machine. It's available wherever you download and listen to podcasts. You don't have to listen. Just subscribe, leave a review, and download it every single week. I don't care if you listen, but you should listen. And you should get into the Listener League, because when you win the Listener League, you get a chance to play against Adam and Pete and myself. I posted a horrible score. Adam posted a really good score. We'll get to his lineup in a second. I had Beathard. I had Chubb. I had Elliott, who was 75% owned in this tournament. Like I said, I think this was a process mistake for me. And there was a shift that I made in my cash game lineup yesterday in the morning because of the wind in New York, and it was obviously turned out to be the wrong one. I did not have Gabriel. I did not have Woods. I did not have the Jaguars. I think I had Snead or somebody else here. I know I had Thielen here. And then I had the Colts D here. So this lineup would have looked a lot different with 16 more points here, 17 more points here. I would have had 130, which is respectable, and would have probably split cash games yesterday. But again, I made a mistake yesterday with the wind, overjudged it, came off of, I didn't stand true on Thielen, which is, if you watch the Friday show, once the Chubb news came out, I was like, all right, well, just play Todd Gurley, play Thielen, plug all the guys in. The right play yesterday would have been to take the leap of faith on Kerryon Johnson as Adam did. He was the only one in the 4-man who did so. I was overweight on him in tournaments. I just didn't feel that he had a high enough floor of targets or high enough floor of touches to be the cash game running back that I wanted. He went Chubb, Kerryon. He went Thielen, Woods. That was essentially the nuts with Baker Mayfield in there. Interesting play with Mayfield there. What was he, 5,800? Yeah, he was 5,800 last week. Solid play going with Mayfield against the Buccaneers that can't stop anybody. So I did not really do well in cash games this week. I played like 150 to 190 head-to-heads. I did not play double-ups this week because I thought it was going to be way too much overlap. I did not win very many head-to-heads at all. Just a complete wipeout in terms of head-to-heads for me. But I made it up in tournaments a little bit. Still lost on the week this week, unfortunately, because of my mistakes in cash games. If I didn't make those mistakes, if I did not pivot off of Thielen, it ends up being a break-even week on DraftKings for me, but as it is, I screwed up my cash game lineup. So therefore, I ended up losing. That's what happens. When you make mistakes, you're going to lose. I'm going to try not to make as many mistakes moving forward next week, so we're going to get back to it. We're on to Week 8, so please check out the first look video for Week 8. It's right here. Click that subscribe button. It's right there. It's right there. And I'll catch up to you guys later. Bye, guys.